Hello, thank you for joining with me. We are with Ken Wapnick, PhD, in his journey through the text of A Course in Miracles. And today we are on Chapter 5, Healing and Wholeness. Language. Before exploring the Holy Spirit's loving presence, I would like to comment on the Course's language, which the reader may recall was briefly discussed in the prelude. I have frequently commented that we should not take literally on the level of form everything we read in the text, though the content most certainly should be accepted as truth. The text is not written as a scientific textbook, but as a work of art. It uses symbols that are not meant to be taken literally. Take, for example, the end of Shakespeare's Othello, where the hero comes into Desdemona's bedchamber and says, "Put out the light," and then, "Put out the light." Why the redundancy? The first "put out the light" refers to Othello's extinguishing the lamp in his wife's room, and the next symbolically reflects his intention of killing her. A Course in Miracles is likewise filled with symbols that are not to be understood at face value. Jesus says that God is lonely and incomplete and weeps at the sacrifice of his children. Quite obviously, God is not lonely, does not weep, and is hardly incomplete. These are forms that reflect the underlying content of God's love in a way that speaks to us. As children, it is comforting to know that our parents miss us and are lonely if we are gone, feel incomplete if we are not there, and weep if we are in pain. These are loving thoughts for us, but clearly are not meant to be taken literally. The very notion of a God who is a person is also not to be taken literally. Our source is not a person and does not have a body, let alone gender. In other words, God is not an entity with an identity separate from ours. Yet, because we believe we are separated, Jesus speaks to us in those terms. The Holy Spirit is also spoken of as a person, referred to with a masculine pronoun. Indeed, most of the words used to describe the Holy Spirit are personifications: teacher, mediator, guide, interpreter, translator, comforter, etc. Again, these are but symbols that allow us to relate to this loving presence in our mind as if he were a person, albeit a divine one. Without understanding this, one would get trapped in very strange anthropomorphisms, projecting qualities pertaining to Homo sapiens onto a figure or object. We do this, for example, when a car fails us and we curse at it as if it were a person. We do the same thing with the God and the Holy Spirit. The correct way of looking at the Holy Spirit is that he symbolizes a thought or memory. When we believed we were separated from God and fell asleep, dreaming of separation, we took with us into our mind's dream a memory of who we are as God's Son. That memory is the Holy Spirit. We will see here that even though the Holy Spirit is described anthropomorphically, Jesus explains that he is an idea or thought. Indeed, at the end of the clarification of terms, Jesus tells us that the form of the Holy Spirit, a voice or person within the mind, is an illusion, a helpful illusion to be sure, because as long as we think we are a person, we need a relationship with a figure in our mind's thought system who is also a person. Once more, it is important to remember that these symbols are not to be taken literally. Proceeding in this way will help prevent the unfortunate mistake of confusing form and content, body and mind. Since the Holy Spirit's task is to undo what the ego has made, we need to experience Him as operating at the same level as the ego. Otherwise, the mind would not be able to relate to Him. He speaks to us on the level we think we are on, the condition of being separated and living in a body we call Homo sapiens. I'm going to go ahead and stop there today. I thank you so much for joining with me. I love you. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you tomorrow.